Ellis.
Nuisance property update tonight. We may push that to staff reports in order to give the customer service experience. We have some folks from out of town from OpenGov with us tonight to kind of give an update on what staff is recommending we move forward with in terms of our technology piece that we've talked about the last couple of council meetings. So in order to give them enough time to adequately answer your questions and demonstrate some of the capabilities that they have, I'm asking to do that. We've also got the Bellwood Tap project and the Parks and Rec maintenance facility, which is substantially complete. But both of those need to be moved into second quarter, and I'll do that at our first meeting in April. Go ahead and slide those down. Other than that, all of our goals have been completed as of tonight. Any questions?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
All right. And we will move into reviewing the agenda. So we'll begin with our roll call, opening prayer and pledge of allegiance, and approval of the agenda. And then we will consider the consent agenda. We have contract billings for Southeast Construction Company, $66,880 for fiscal year 25 resurfacing, phase 5. Poly Incorporated, engineering design for that same resurfacing, and consulting services for the wastewater treatment plants. If you have any questions through this, just stop me because I'm just going to run through them here. Contract services for Fine Getty Associates, $6,250. And then we have travel requests, E911, $2,600, engineering, $3,300, municipal court, $1,000, police department, $1,659, and some disposal requests. Any questions on the consent agenda? All right, then we will, Mayor Cooper and Tammy Dorr will present certificates. And then to the Coffee County Queens. And then we will have a request to the council for the Church With You egg drop that we typically approve every year. Does anyone have a problem? Okay, you good? All right. And then we'll have the privilege of the floor and staff reports. Looks like there's no old business on the meeting this time. And then we will introduce the ordinance for providing for the sale of Bates Memorial Stadium. You have anything to mention about that? Or
I know there's a note on there. I don't think this will be urgent enough to take up tonight. I do know that the church had their vote last Sunday, and it was unanimous, is what I was told, to approve accepting that and moving forward with the agreement.
okay. So then we will introduce Planning Commission recommendation to approve rezoning of a property owned by PLS Group on behalf of Danny Gay, request by PLS Group on behalf of Danny Gay to rezone 0.26 acres from R3 to R4, located at 218 East Hildreth Avenue. Does anyone want to mention?
Sir, on this request, this is just you're introducing it tonight. You'll lay it over at the next council meeting. You'll vote on it the second council meeting in April. This went through Plan Commission with a recommendation to award, and at the public hearing, when we have it there, the staff will give you a full presentation on the rezoning itself, the same presentation that Planning Commission got. So it's just tonight to introduce that rezoning request, sir.
Okay. And then we will have a public hearing on Amendment 772 BDH Enterprise.
Yes, sir. We actually have the developer here with us tonight from Birmingham. I'd ask John Abernathy if he would maybe come up and answer any questions you might have about that.
Okay.
But it's the same agreement we talked about last few council meetings.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm John Abernathy with Blackwater Real Estate out of Birmingham, and I'm here representing the BDH Enterprise entity. So available to answer any questions about the project, but we have recently acquired the property and are working towards a redevelopment plan.
And this is the property that was formerly Rite Aid / Family Dollar?
Correct. Correct, and it's currently, Family Dollar's closed and it's currently vacant. Correct.
Is that the entirety of the property, just that piece there, or?
It is. It's about 2.5 acres total.
Anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right. Then we have a resolution to, we have a request to make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement and closing documents for the purchase of the former Cuts restaurant property.
Yes, sir. So I know that all of you know about this, but I did think that it maybe at some point tonight, particularly either when that comes up or in your council remarks, you might want to comment on how we got there. I know at least one of the council members has made a comment to me about the street committee, and I have received some of my own calls into the mayor's office about people that think that the city somehow forced or wanted Cuts out of business to acquire that property. So to walk you through what actually happened was about a month ago, we got a call from Rick Cuts, basically saying that he was going to close down Cuts at some point soon, and wanted to know if the city, before he did that and closed down the business, he wanted to make sure that the city had the right to purchase the property if they wanted to, before he put it on the market. And so that's when I brought that request to the council in executive session, and we ordered an appraisal. If it had come back at a number that was unreasonable or more than we could afford, obviously we weren't going to pay that. But his decision to close down the business was independent of anything that the city wanted. We weren't in the business of looking for that property. In fact, we worked with Rick back in 2022 when this process started to redo his parking lot as part of our project for the recreation center. So he felt that that was in the best interest of the community to see if the city wanted to buy it. And so any questions or thoughts, or if you've heard that, anything you'd like me to find out from Rick. I know that he would go on record as saying that if it does come up on social media or anything else. But that's kind of the truth of how we got here.
Anyone have any questions?
I don't have a question per se, but I definitely would like for you to recap that, how that happened in our
Sure.
meeting, maybe during our discussion if possible.
Yes,
just
ma'am.
so that it can be on the record. I know I spoke with you because it just anticipated that this would be the committee's report.
Absolutely.
Jonathan, if it helps, I know personally Misty Dixon, formerly Misty Cuts, and she told me a while back that they were going to sell, and it's because none of the children wanted to take over, and they were looking to just close it down. That he was tired going in
Sure.
early and all of that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I know personally that there was no backhand deal
Yeah.
or anything like that.
I just wanted to make sure that, everyone was aware that, like anything else, anytime the city makes a decision or something happens, people feel the absence of information with speculation. And I just wanted to get ahead of it before this goes through tonight, and make sure that the public, at least the ones that are watching or here.
There's no deep
understand.
state in
That's right.
Enterprise.
Yes, sir.
We're just a committee of 5. The street committee,
That's
is
right.
thousands, so we're outnumbered.
That's right. That's all.
Okay, and then we will consider a motion to authorize the mayor to execute a professional service agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates for preliminary engineering services for the A-Trip 2 traffic signal upgrades project. and analyzing additional traffic signals within the city.
Yes, sir. So the city was awarded an A-Trip 2 application that we turned in end of last year. So the maximum grant you can get with that program is a $2 million. We got the full $2 million towards this program. The intent of the application was to look at the 5 traffic signals that were between the railroad trestle all the way to the farmers market. So the existing lights that are through that downtown, we've talked about this before, but a lot of those lights have antiquated controls down there. Only one has a PED button, so you cross for a pedestrian crossing right there. Don't know whether or not when you hit the button, it doesn't turn red. You don't know whether it's working, not working. I've seen people just sit there and just keep hitting it, hoping that it would do something different. So the whole intent of this with Kimberly Horn is the city's obligation to this was to do the engineering part of the contract. That's our portion to match the grant. So that's what you have before you tonight. They will do the analysis and get all the plans and specifications up to what AlDOT requires for an A-Trip 2 application to look at those 5 signals downtown. Also added to their application, there's about up to 7 lights that are currently in the city that I've had multiple people ask me, why do we have a light there? So I've asked them because Kimberly Horn did all the original traffic signal timing around the entire city to look at some of those traffic signals that are inside the city on some of the secondary roads. I'll say secondary roads, not on Main Street, but other lights that I've seen that just don't have a stack of traffic or not being utilized a lot to see if they're still warranted and to give us some options of whether they recommend that we should leave those, or if we decided to take those out or make modifications to them, what options we do have available to us. So while they're here in town engaged in the Main Street, I had them add those extra 7 signals to this contract as well. I figured it's a good time to look at those while we had them here. So that's what you have before you tonight. And I'll cover this also when we do either in staff reports or later in this work session, a transportation update. I'll talk a little bit more about this project at that point. But if you have any questions for me on this contract, I'll be glad to address it.
Anyone have any questions? Well, hopefully they'll get it fixed. I think I hit all 7 of them red today.
So one of the things that we actually had a kickoff meeting today on this one, and the consultant brought up about bringing what we call comms or communications to each one of those cabinets. So that is the intent through this, is if we can get communications to each one of those signals, then we can on the fly make adjustments to those signals. And we do have the ability at that point to either put up cameras as part of this project if the funding is available. But if not, we can come back at a later project and add cameras, and they can use the cameras to adjust timing. Or if one gets off, they can come back and resync together. The signals could actually talk to each other. Right now, they're all standalone. So they're standalone, and they time them the best way they know to make them all work at all times of the day. But this will make them more smart, more like a smart signal where they can actually work together. And we can modify those as we need to move forward. So I think it's the right decision to look at that. And AlDOT did too. Apparently, they gave us the $2 million towards that project. So it'll be a great addition to downtown and to what we currently have going on. So I'm excited to see this project move forward.
All right. Any questions?
Are the signals going to still be hung the same way, or are they going to?
We're going to look at that right now. The intent is to use whatever we can in the poles and stuff that are there, but probably replace the heads, replace the cabinetry, do that type of stuff. We actually asked them to look at the possibility of added lighted signs at the crosswalks, like you've seen some of them, like at College Street, to be backlit, to see what options we have. But we are capped off at $2 million, so I want to get as much bang of the buck, and I want to use every dollar we can, but I don't want to leave anything on the table. But we will take that $2 million as far as we can.
Okay.
That when it gets into what they told us today is when it starts talking about communications and running fiber optic to each one of those signal cabinets, it can get expensive. So until we get a little bit farther down the design, I won't be able to answer that question exactly, but I will once we get maybe to a 30 or 60% design, we get some cost estimates back and tell you what we can get done.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you much.
Thank you.
And then we have a request to authorize the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Enterprise and Alabama Department of Rehabilitation Services for the provision of a portion of office facilities located at Enterprise Civic Center.
So mayor and council members, I know that the mayor was part of the meeting, but we met with this group, the Alabama Department of Rehabilitation Services. Most recently, Governor Ivey allocated some funding to stand up 5 units in the state of Alabama that dealt with traumatic brain injury, particularly focused on veterans. And so they needed office space. This particular contract would go through the end of the fiscal year, so the end of September. with potential options to renew that. Of course, it's got to be mutual. They still have to have funding. We have to think that they're good tenants. There's no financial payment that the city will receive for this. But in the discussions that the mayor and I had with them, you know, they need a home in the Wiregrass somewhere to serve the veteran population in particular. And we thought that Enterprise would make a great home for that. They're going to have 2 people full-time here that would be located just down the hallway towards the end of the portico, where, if you remember, we relocated Parks and Rec during the construction of the new rec center. Blake, or Billy Powell, I think at the time, and Blake's offices were in there along with Melissa. They would use that in one of the conference rooms down the hallway to see patients. And we're not using that space right now. It's currently got some boxes and empty desks in it. Blake came in and looked at it with us. Think it will be a good use, at least in the short term, until they can either get a solid footing on their funding mechanisms or find another location. Or maybe this is their, you know, short-term home for several years. But that's the intent of this. I think it'll serve the community well, certainly better than what we're doing with the space right now.
They're requiring any modifications? The reason I ask is because these exact folks came to Troy, to the university, to our building, and I showed them around some space that I could carve them out. And some of it was kind of inadequate for sensitive meetings. So I just wondering if we're doing anything above, you know, utilization of the space as it sits.
No, sir. No funds on either side will be exchanged. They'll be required, if we have a desk in there and they think it's adequate, they can obviously use it. If not, they'll be required to purchase their own equipment, phones, et cetera. So no modifications or financial contributions from the city other than the space.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, then we have a request to purchase 2 transfer trailers from K&L Holdings in the amount of $200,472, and this item is budgeted.
Yes, sir. This is 2 transfer trailers that were currently budgeted in Public Works for this year's budget. I will tell you that they came in slightly over budget for what we had budgeted per each individual line item, but we did have cost savings on other items within that same pay item. So we will be under budget on the total line item for Public Works under that equipment purchase. So we recommend purchasing that if the council's okay with us moving forward with that.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Then we will have the mayor's report, council member comments, and then we have a request for an executive session to discuss legal advice and counsel at the end of the meeting, and then we will adjourn following that executive session. Any questions on the agenda? All right. Customer service update.
Yes, sir. Mayor and council, I'm pleased to report that we do have some representatives from OpenGov. As I told you, our staff has worked really hard. All of our staff that this will impact have had a chance to touch and walk through the different modules that OpenGov has. I think all were very positive about it, but the 2 that really worked on it were, one of them is not our staff, but it feels like he is most of the time, Jeremy Nagy, and then Leanne Swartz were the 2 that spearheaded this. So I don't know if one of you want to come up and introduce our guest, but on your screens and on the screen here, you'll see their presentation. And they're here to answer any questions you might have. And like I said, if this takes all the way up until 6 o'clock, that's fine. We're prepared to move the nuisance property update into the staff reports. So we want you guys to understand what we're asking for tonight and kind of get a thumbs up or down if this is the direction you'd like staff to continue moving.
Good evening, everybody. So I know this is, I think, my third time up here now in the last month or so, but just to give you guys a quick update, we have in total demoed 16 different software vendors for different, 311 systems, CRM platforms, and of course, things that can completely replace Tyler Technologies. We narrowed it down to 3 really good contenders that could completely replace Tyler Technologies. I think we're at the point now, we can safely say that we would like to, the city would like to go with OpenGov. So we asked them to do a demo, and they actually generously offered to come on site and do the demo in person. Anyways, I'm going to let Jake come on up, and he's going to show you guys their product, and then we're hoping that this could be something that you guys could vote on in the next council meeting.
Thanks, Jeremy. Mayor, Council President, council members, pleasure to meet you. My name is Jake Toit. I'm the team lead here at OpenGov, so I oversee the whole state of Alabama, all of our current and future customers. So what we're going to kind of go through today is a couple slides kind of highlighting what OpenGov is, how we can get results for the city. Then we do have 2 technical experts on our call. Will is remote, and then we also have Krista. First thing I do want to kind of give kudos to you and your team here at Enterprise. It's been a pleasure to work with you guys. Very responsive in trying to make a plan for the city to ultimately drive outcomes for better customer experiences on the utility billing and business licensing top of mind for this project. So I want to make sure that your staff is applaud from our side, because we don't get that pretty often. So with that kind of being said, what OpenGov is we are an ERP company. But we named our ERP our public service platform. The reason why we call it that is we do only work with state and local government, like cities and counties, and we only do make software for local government. So that's why what you're going to see today is a very purposeful built system that really allows for high-performing governments to do better operational efficiencies, get more customer engagement, and ultimately provide more results for citizens of the city. Also, we do have a transparency aspect as well, so any type of forward financial reporting information, maybe budget to actuals or revenues or expenses, you guys can also have that forward-facing within OpenGov. Now, within our ERP solution, we have a lot of different financial modules. Now, the ones highlighted in orange here are ones within the relative scope. So that's your accounting system, that's budgeting performance, that's doing all your operating budgets, workforce planning, capital improvement plans. We'll also talk about utility billing today and show what that customer portal will look like. We also do all revenue collections. We also have a CRM 311 system. We have permitting and licensing, which you can do all your building permit applications, code enforcement, planning and zoning, business licensing, like I mentioned, and then we also have enterprise asset management, which you'll be able to track and monitor all the infrastructure within the city. Specifically, we'll talk about the water meters and roads, for our example, when we kind of walk through the solution at a high level. From here, we do have a lot of partnerships in the state of Alabama. One note to note recently was with Ford Hanley down in Orange Beach, Alabama. He's a current Alabama GFOA president. This is what he had to say about OpenGov during his experience and why he chose us back in July of last year. Hey, we're using multiple different systems. Now with OpenGov, we can have everything onto one platform. Seeing everything in one place was incredibly attractive to his team, and that's the same kind of results that we want to bring to Enterprise. So what we kind of talk about first with our business licensing aspect today is that we're going to walk you through that public portal, really showing you how easy to use 24/7 that contractor, business owners, or citizens can do those applications online. That also will stem and create faster reviews. Then we'll provide more in-app collaboration across applicants, then also staff. And then one big aspect of our system, you guys are in full control of it. It's a low-code environment, so you guys can make changes in real time. Obviously, with laws and ordinances changing, that's really important to local government. Then on the asset management side, we're going to show you how you can track all your assets, your infrastructure within OpenGov, and track depreciation of those assets in real time with OCI scoring. I know that you guys are potentially going to do that PCI with the roadway assessment. We would be able to integrate that data from that assessment, and then you guys will be able to track those roadways in real time. But we'll highlight that with our utility billing demonstration today. Here are the 3 key outcomes. You're going to see improved resident engagement. You're going to see a lot more staff efficiencies. And then we also do have scalability where you guys can grow within our system. So this is where I'm going to pass it to Will to kind of walk you through that business license aspect and show you an example with Orange Beach, Alabama. And then we'll pass it over to Krista to walk through the utility billing side. So I see Will is online. I'll pass it over to Will. think you're good, Will.
Okay. So as we go through this application, of course, this will be the ability of the applicant to fill this out. You can make certain fields required or not. So to help streamline the applicant experience, if you want to make sure you're getting the business name or the business owner, information like that, simply make them an asterisk beside here, and that'll make it to where the applicant can't proceed forward unless they're filling out that application. But of course, as we fill this out, I can say, this is who I am. I'll kind of skip some of the unanswered ones here, the unrequired ones here, but just all the different articles possible, right? The different types of questions you can ask, type of ownership. Is it a nonprofit? Is it a 501c3? Is it a food service? Is it in the retail industry? Whatever it may be, you can collect all of this information up front, and as we fill out this application, we can quickly run through, describe the business activities, give it a business category as well. So we wanted them to be able to search amongst, different business categories, including NAICS codes. We could continue to drill down more and more detail. As a part of the business license process, we also can include gross receipts declaration as well. So if that's part of your fee calculation or any types of review that you go through at the city level, we can collect this information from the public applicants and of course can indicate who's filling this out, their title, anything else that's required of them. The next couple of steps here are just going to be that applicant has a chance to sign and date this, of course, attesting that this is accurate, best of their knowledge. And they can also provide any attachments that may be required, whether it's a floor plan, gross receipts, or a state license, or maybe it's an approved health permit. Whatever it is that's required as a part of the application process, whether it's building permit, business licenses, code complaints, you name it, you can make attachments required or not. And so from that public portal, the applicants can upload all of their documentation and submit their application. Once we've gone through that, the applicants will have one last chance to just kind of confirm all the details of their submission. But then from here, they can confirm and submit and kick this over to staff. From this point, this gives applicants from the public portal a very transparent window into the overall review process of that particular application they follow. Not only will they be able to see all their submission details, any attachments they provided, they'll be able to add up to 10 guests as well. These could be guests, think of it as a business partner, or maybe a subcontractor, or tenant, or whoever it may be. But then from the public portal, without them even having to call the city hall, or send an email, or come to leave a voicemail, they're able to see what step they are in the review process. They can see the steps that are going to come as a result of this, any fees they're going to have to collect, maybe inspections that are going to come as a result of this. But it gives, from the public side, a very transparent view into the overall review process before they get their final business license. From the public portal, applicants can also communicate directly with staff, directly tied to their records. So if they want to know how long will something take, they can actually send staff that message directly here, all tied to the record. Any questions about the public portal side of things?
How well does this adapt to using on a mobile device? Is that a lot of citizens, that's all they have to interact with?
Compatible, so you can access it for iPhone, Android.
And so it adapts very well and is just as user-friendly on a mobile device as it is on a desktop computer?
That is correct. It's the same look and feel.
Is that any other questions?
On the portal itself, or just general questions?
Portal first, and we'll do general questions at the end.
Yeah, so this portal is for submitting a business license. Is this the same portal that an individual would use to submit like a trouble request or a ticket request, or like if their water's out or pay a bill? I mean, is this the same?
That would be the CRM applications where they can submit any kind of outstanding complaint or request from the city.
Okay,
This is specifically to business licenses, building permits, planning and zoning, code
Okay.
enforcement.
okay. That's good.
So if you create an account, I assume they have to create an account up front. You can't just fill out a business license just willy-nilly. Like I couldn't fill out one for Greg
Yep.
because it's just a blank slate. If they create one account, does that account work across the other platforms, or do they have to have one for each?
So that is something that we're going to have one centralized platform for all kind of requests within OpenGov. By the time that you guys implement that phase of the project, it'll all be on one. As of right now, we want to keep everything kind of separate because, building permits are, obviously there's specific workflows to that compared to making a request, let's say for a sinkhole, right? So that's why we kind of want to have that separate, but we are building that into one.
Yeah, I think single sign-on is going to be a big piece of that, because, take someone that has a business and someone also that sees a pothole and someone that has a house that has a water bill. They're not going to want to have 3 different logins to get all of that taken care of.
That is correct.
So-
We take feedback from our customers. That was one of the biggest things, and that's why we're actually implementing that into our system. Our feedback from our customers is our roadmap for future partners and their current systems.
So do you have a timeline for that, like when that?
I can get with you specifically on that, and I can send you an email. Will, do you want to move forward to the enterprise asset management?
Yeah, absolutely. So another one of our products is Enterprise Asset Management, and just to give a high-level overview of what we're looking at here on the screen is this is going to be a map-based view of all of your assets and the related work activities. This can include assets such as transportation, your roads, sidewalks, street lights. It can include things such as your water infrastructure, your water meters, pumps, laterals, storm pipes, really anything. And it's built on a bi-directional relationship with Esri ArcGIS. So, as your GIS makes changes there, it can reflect automatically into Enterprise Asset Management and vice versa. So you can continue to build out your asset inventory within both systems, depending on how you see fit. But from this view, what I'm seeing here on the screen is configurable. So if you think about this from maybe someone's working in the public works department on roads and streets and signs, things like that. Maybe what they would see on the screen is just going to be layers related to pavement and roadways, things like that. So it's very easy to toggle certain layers on and off here on my map. So if I want to kind of clean things up, I can easily pick and choose essentially what's going to be visible on the screen here, and that can be broken up by role, by permissions, or just overall general preferences. But here on the map, it's not only going to be tracking your assets, it's going to be tracking the work related to those assets as well. So if I have task layers turned on, this gives me that operational awareness to know what assets are being worked on now, what we plan work for, and what maybe is in progress. As I'm looking here on the screen, I'll jump into an example of pavement, and we'll also look at a water meter, for example. But all of your different assets, you're going to be able to track a multitude of different details here. As I kind of scroll, I'll expand my window here. But it'll give you some key metrics that will track over time. So that can be things such as when you installed it or when you did the most recent overlay. But not only that, it'll track total cost of date for maintaining that asset in its life cycle, as well as tracking that overall condition index. So once you've got that baseline scoring from your PCI study, like Jake said, we can integrate that data into our system and use that to determine when certain preventative maintenance cycles need to be triggered, or when we need to go out and do ongoing routine tasks, things like that. With all of your assets, you'll be able to track a history of the task associated there. You'll be able to track pictures as well. So you can go back in time essentially and see what work was done on what assets, when did you complete them, what was the priority, and what was the cost associated with that particular activity. Just to give an example of another asset type, I'll jump into a water meter, for example. I think we'll hit on this a little later, utility billing as well, but with each of the water meters, just like pavement or just like sidewalks or any other assets that you manage, you'll have all the different asset attributes that you can see here to the side. And you can, of course, configure this. You don't have to have all of these details, but you can get very detailed if you want to. But just like the road also see some key details here, such as the overall condition for this water meter, any costs associated with it. But just like that, just like the road, I can go back and see a history of inspections or previous tasks that we've done on this particular asset. At any point in time, I mentioned that this isn't just an asset management platform. It's also going to be administrating all of your work orders as well. Work can be directly tied to the assets here in the system with this Blue Plus option. So regardless of the asset type, whether you're doing pothole patches on the road or you're doing water cutoffs or leak detections at water meters, either way, you can create these tasks in just a few simple clicks, set start dates, stop dates. You can even assign priorities. If you want to set due date reminders, we can set all of this in place, as well as manage who certain tasks are being assigned to, whether it be at an individual basis, such as I'm assigning this to myself, or maybe I want to add a crew. I can also indicate them here and assign this kind of in bulk. Either way, once the task has been created, you'll be able to see that that's now a planned task tied to that asset.
When there's a task scheduled, like you showed, can you do an SMS to the resident that's affected? Let them know that somebody's coming when it's scheduled?
Yes, as long as we have that number, the data point tracked at the asset, we can set up automations to send email or text notifications.
And then the outage map that you're showing, is there a public view? So if I don't have water one day at my business, I can check an outage map before I call in or submit a ticket to make sure that it's not an already known thing and it's on the outage map?
So what we're seeing here, this is an internal facing only tool, but with, to Jake's point, the CRM tool that he mentioned earlier, that will be the public facing where they can see it drop down in different request types. They'll be able to see previous submitted requests and see, oh, is there an outage here? Is there a leak here? They'll be able to see
The CRM
what
has
other people have reported on.
the CRM
This is
has a
just
map.
The internal asset management.
Okay. Does the CRM have a map feature, an outage map feature that somebody can just see a map that shows if there's either work being done on a street or water is out, that's affecting a large number of users because of a pipe or whatever?
Yeah, we do have a map within our CRM, so they'll have that data live on the
Okay.
CRM portal.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Very good.
Thanks, Will. We're going to pass it over to Krista just to walk through the utility billing, what that would look like for citizens. So Krista, I'll pass it to you.
All right, I will keep this pretty short and sweet, but essentially this is going to be where your constituents can come in and pay their bills for their utilities. So we wanted to make this as seamless and as easy as possible to provide your constituents with as much information related to their utilities, right? So they can come in here and they're going to be able to see their current balance, water usage trends, all of the utilities related to their account. It can also be if a constituent has multiple service locations or multiple services, they can pull that into all of one account, and they can address that right here. Any recent bills, account status. This is also where they're going to be able to set up any HCH payments automatically within the system. But essentially giving them a full view of everything related to their account. They can download any documents related to their bills, any return payments, any penalties. It is also going to send a notification related to their bill via email and also via text message. So they're going to get that notification and they can go ahead and pay directly online. It's also where they can set up any task, right? So any service task, which is going to be directly connected to the asset management side. The biggest thing here, I would say, is just going to be ease of use, right? Making constituents have access to all of their information in one consolidated location. They can come in here, set up their ACH, and pretty much essentially forget it, but also identifying any water usage trends, right? So they can see exactly what those trends are over time. Any questions on this particular view? No? All right, that was essentially it.
Thanks, Krista. We'll open up to any additional questions.
So if they go in there and put work order in.
Okay.
So if a citizen comes in and puts a work order in, their water's out or
Yep.
something like that, can you show how that flows back to the water department?
Correct. Yep. 1 second. No, the CRM. Do you have that link?
I don't know if I have it. Yeah, you want to pull it up?
I forgot to tell them to do this, sorry.
Pause. Yeah, for sure.
While you're getting that pulled up, can I ask a few other questions?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So on metric side, will there be dashboards for the department heads to use and KPIs that can be tracked and reported on?
Yeah,
Okay.
there will be designated dashboards related to the utility department, and you can specify what types of dashboards as well. So they can be ad hoc reports, they can be, your standard canned reports as well.
Number of issues, response times?
Number of issues, response times, yeah.
On the reporting, or on the portal that you're doing, is that multi-see where the department head can see through a portal the number of issues that have been submitted, and then you can assign out by permission base? Okay, sounds
Exactly,
good.
yep.
If I wanted to submit that I saw a pothole, can I take a picture of a pothole with my phone, submit that, and it takes somebody right to where the pothole is?
It sure can. I believe
Okay.
you're going to pull that up here right now.
Okay.
Can you
Very good.
Yeah.
Stop sharing screen.
All right.
I sure can.
Um,
Perfect segue.
Oh, go ahead.
So for an example, this is our interactive demo experience. So as a constituent, this is what they would see 24/7. It's an online portal. So essentially what they can do is this is all configured by what the city, how they want to have it laid out. So for example, for this demo environment, say there is that issue. As a citizen, I can click on report an issue. Now it will prompt a lot of different kind of qualifying questions. Maybe it's parking, maybe it's public works. I know the example of a sinkhole was made, so I'll say, hey, it's a sinkhole. Once again, you can add, hey, maybe it's another issue with water, maybe the meter doesn't work, et cetera. But when I go continue the details, I can then put in my contact information. My name's Jake. I'll put my work email here. I'll put my phone number. Then I can also then put the location of the issue. I can put it by an address. I can put a point on a map. I can actually interact with the map and put it specifically to that location. If I'm also on my cell phone, I can use my current location there. So that would prompt the city. Then I could say, hey, there is a sinkhole in my street, for example. Then I can also add any photos, attachments from my phone, online, et cetera, and then I can submit this request. So then once that ticket is created, then the citizen will have a confirmation number. They'll say what kind of category it came from, what kind of service type, that location. And then also too, the city will configure kind of the SLA policy that you guys want to utilize. Hey, the request will be reviewed within 1 day, maybe 2 days. This builds trust with the citizen that their complaint is actually being heard, and it has a standard on what their expectation is with the city. So then I can go then submit another request. But if I do go back real quick, as a constituent, then I can kind of go down. Where is it here? I can then track all my requests. So maybe I have one submitted, I have one in progress, I have a couple that are resolved. Then I can see, hey, maybe there's action required. Maybe the city said, hey, we need actually a photo of this item to be picked up. I think you guys get the gist. You can really increase the trust from the citizen.
Can you scroll up just a touch?
Yep.
That widget right there, where it says bulk pickup, let's say that there's a water main break. To keep 15 people from submitting the same water main break, is there a way we can do a mass bulletin there that we can edit so if someone logs in and says, oh, they already know about it?
Correct. You can create that banner that gives that alert out. It can flash red. It can maybe have confetti. At the end of the day, you guys have the configuration to do so.
Certificates for the highest number of tickets put in.
Biggest helper to the city.
Yes.
What about for Parks and Rec, and I don't know if they want this or not, but the ability to see if certain facilities are available, to rent those facilities, if I need to rent a ball field, a pavilion, to be able to pay for that online, and get those things on a calendar.
Correct.
Is that available?
Yeah, so the system's highly configurable, so you can make that Parks and Rec maybe application to rent out a facility on the CRM, and it builds, and then it'll essentially allow them to walk through that workflow.
You want that, Blake, or no? He does, yes, okay.
And you had mentioned dashboards earlier, configurable dashboards for city council, for things like everything from finance to engineering to permits to all that kind of stuff. Can that be configured?
That can be configured, yes.
Is the software, do you have is it an open API in case there's other integrations that we want to have in the future that can
Correct.
integrate into your software?
Yeah, like with the government app builder, for example, that's the CRM application, what that's built on. It has a very robust API.
Okay.
So if you guys maybe go, on a one-off kind of niche kind of software
Yeah.
for a specific workflow,
Yep.
we can map that out with your team to get that integrated.
Okay, thank you. What is the time frame if they decided, because I heard mentioning that you guys would be interested in trying to get a vote on this as soon as possible. So from signed to 100% deployed, staff trained, all modules integrated, citizens alerted, and they can now go into a website and use this, what's the typical time frame?
So we've been working very diligently with the city. The CRM and 311 aspect is the main priority. We can get that live by October 1. The city has a go-live date by Q4.
Okay.
We've already worked with our team, and we can get that done. Then the second phase of the project with like the accounting system, budgeting, permits, that would start on 10/1. And then we actually met with the city today about 4 or 5 hours today, and we're going to make that project plan to make sure we hit all your go-live dates.
Okay. Very good. Leanne, are we good on not having like an overlapping contract where we're double paying for a long period of time on services? We're good? Okay, very good.
So generally, we can get the accounting system live in about 7 months. We did that with Orange Beach, but we will create a project plan with the
I
city.
believe in you. You can do it.
So I'm just trying to make sure I understand some of these terminologies that the IT people are using.
Yep.
The CRM, that's our customer relationship management. when you
That's
say
correct.
that, okay, and SLA, service level, okay.
Yep. My apologies for the acronyms.
I'm up here with the wizard, so I have to Google while I'm.
I think our water department, and Alan, is Alan here? Our water department purchased some iPads recently, and I saw that this is, as long as you have a website, you can go to it. Is there an app that they can also load that's in the app store that they can use?
There is an
Okay.
application for field staff to do the work hours out in the field.
Okay.
To eliminate kind of driving back to City Hall and getting those work orders.
And they don't
completed.
have to go to a website, there's an app, or is it a?
It's an
app-based?
actual app,
Okay,
yep.
very good, thank you. All right. Davis, do you like it? He said good, okay, very good. Don't report a fire through a ticket, right? And I think you've already answered this. There's the migration of the current data is already included. You can migrate the data that we currently have over. Okay, and then training for staff current, and then do you guys have remedial training? Is it video training that you guys, because sometimes we have an issue where the outgoing person happens suddenly, and then the current staff doesn't know how to do the certain things that need to be done on the system. So is there video training or some kind of training that we can have?
So it's all one-on-one training with our staff. It's
Okay.
over Zoom, and then we do have on-site trainings as well, where we come for 2 to 3 days at a time
Yeah.
and actually implement the system with you guys, sitting in the same room.
So after implementation, is there a way to get a staff member trained if they come on board after implementation?
Yeah, so the city already, within the scope of the project, it's called OpenGov Expert Services. So that's OpenGov's consultant year-round training. So if you guys
Okay.
want to have that person come on-site, that's
Okay.
already included.
Very good, thank you. I'll quit hogging all the questions.
So one thing that I'll bring up that I discussed with Jeremy and Leanne,
Yep.
that some of the companies that we've looked at, including the one that we're currently using, about 70% of the work is on us, and they estimate that about 80% of the work will be done by OpenGov for the implementation. So that was definitely very helpful news to hear.
Yeah, so since we only do work government and a lot of our staff members are prior government officials, we kind of take that load off your team and actually build the software in the back end, and then essentially train your team to be live in the system. Because you guys have day-to-day jobs, right? Staff actually has to they have actual tasks not implementing software. So that's why we take that methodology.
Any other questions? Ms. Rich, you got any questions?
I'm good.
Good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right, looks like we only have about 5 minutes till the time for the council. That's probably not enough for nuisance property. So why don't we just take a break, come back at 6 o'clock, and we'll do nuisance property at the staff reports. Good evening. We will call this session of the City Council to order. And we will, all members except Scotty Johnson are present. And now we will stand for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. Do we have Dr. Monk? Yeah, there you go.
Let's pray together. God, we thank you that we can come together tonight in the name of Jesus, just praising you and thankful for our city. And God, the work that needs to be done and accomplished. And God, I thank you for our council. And God, the attention they give to each detail and each item that's on the agenda. Lord, I just pray that you give them wisdom tonight, understanding. And God, that you would just, again, bless our city the way you have, where churches, schools, organizations, civic organizations, all work together, God, for the betterment and the blessing of each community member. God, as often we pray together for those that are in need and the needs that they have, that God, sometimes you put us in a perfect place to help meet those needs. And so, Lord, let us continue to be aware to love our neighbors and, God, to do unto others as we would want done to us. God, again, bless this night, bless this time. Lord, thank you again for our council, for our mayor, and for our city leadership. It's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Please join me for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call for a motion to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
Move to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the city council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the city council. I call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, now recognize Mayor Cooper and Tammy Doerr, Director of Tourism and Community Relations, who present certificates to the newly crowned Coffee County Queens.
Good evening to everyone. Tonight, we have the pleasure of recognizing another group of outstanding young ambassadors who support our community. The City of Enterprise is in a unique situation. In addition to the Enterprise Queens, who also represent our city, we are also fortunate to have the support of the Coffee County Queens. These young ladies represent communities across Coffee County, including right here in Enterprise. They are often gracious enough to join us for many of our city events, festivals, parades, and special celebrations. We appreciate the way they represent Coffee County and the City of Enterprise with such positivity. At this time, I would like to invite Tammy Doerr to come forward to assist with the introductions. Tammy.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be here tonight to introduce these lovely ladies. Ladies, when your name is called, you're going to come forward to receive your certificate from Mayor Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Miss Coffee County, Stella Carnley. Stella is a junior at Opp High School. She enjoys walking while listening to music, babysitting, traveling, and reading. Stella is most excited about Festival in the Park because it's a free community event that brings people of all ages together for a fun day in Enterprise. And that certainly is a fun day, Stella. Here. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Coffee County, Stella Carnley. Next, we have teen Miss Coffee County, Riley Scarlett. Riley is an 8th grader at Coppinville Junior High. She enjoys cheer, tumbling, shopping, so do I, Riley, and spending time with friends. She is especially looking forward to the farmers market events along with our community parades. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Miss Coffee County, Riley Scarlett. Next, we have Junior Miss Coffee County, Collins Hall. Collins is a 4th grade student at MIA Academy, where she is homeschooled. She participates in competitive cheer, tumbling, and dance. Collins is most excited about the spring showcase at the monument and participating in parades throughout the year. Thank you, Ms. Collins. Ladies and gentlemen, Junior Miss Coffee County, Collins Hall. Next, we have Petite Miss Coffee County, Kara Lee Linton. Kara Lee is a 3rd grader at Holly Hill Elementary School. She enjoys volleyball, fishing, choir, shopping, cooking, and playing with her dog. She is especially looking forward to the peak season kickoff at the Enterprise Farmers Market and the Christmas Parade. Ladies and gentlemen, Petite Miss Coffee County, Kara Lee Linton. Next, we have Little Miss Coffee County, Adeline Bryant. Adeline is a 1st grader at New Brockton Elementary School. Her school activities include competitive cheerleading, tumbling, piano, and participating in the Call to the Beat bucket band. Well, Mayor, there's a band member for you. She is also excited about the farmers market events, and we have seen her at many. Ladies and gentlemen, Adeline Bryant. So that was our Little Miss Coffee County, Adeline Bryant. And next we have future Little Miss Coffee County, Ida Jane Watson. That is a big name for a little girl. Miss Ida Jane is a preschool student at Miss Julie's Little Country School. She enjoys tumbling, dance, wrestling, going to the beach, taking trips to the mountains and her nanny's house. And she also likes riding motorcycles. You ride a motorcycle? Oh my goodness. All right. Ida Jane is especially excited about Enterprise's Whoville celebration because she loves the Grinch and seeing all the puppies in the Max Parade. Oh my gosh, I like that as well. There you go, Miss Ida Jane. I think that certificate's as big as she is. Ladies and gentlemen, the future Little Miss Coffee County, Ida Jane Watson. Well, ladies, you see here that, again, these Coffee County Queens, we're so proud for them to be at our events. These are your 2026 Coffee County Queens. And ladies, I will have you, do any more, want to come up here with the mayor? And we're going to get one photo here with the mayor. Council, we'll stand. Please, we'll bring them a little bit more. Okay. So we're going to get a group photo. Round of applause. Absolutely. And now I'd like to invite Miss Coffee County, Stella Carnley, to the podium to share a few words about her community service initiatives. Ladies, you may take a seat. And Stella, the mic is all yours.
Good evening. I started my community service project at Cheerful Heart. When I was younger, I had to go to the pediatrician, and I remember her not showing me very much comfort and love during that scary situation. Through that, I decided I wanted to become a pediatrician. A Cheerful Heart was created to bring comfort, joy, and peace to children facing medical challenges. Through a Cheerful Heart, I bring faith-based fun and comfort items to children who are in hospitals or doctor's offices to remind them they are never alone. While medicine heals the body, I believe that faith and peace heals the heart. Thank you.
All right, is Tony Bradley here? I'd like to recognize Tony Bradley with Church With You, requested to address the council for a permit.
Good evening. Good to see you guys once again. As I said, my name is Tony Bradley. I'm with Church With You. We're here tonight to get approval for a permit to have this will be our 10th year of having our helicopter Easter egg drop at Bates Memorial. And we always look forward to this event. It's the event we put on for our community and surrounding areas. We've been having around 5,000 people. This year we expect that to be a little more, being it's not butted up against spring break. So we're excited about the event. We will have 2 drops, and so with that being said, we're here to hopefully get approval on that. Every year we've done this, we've utilized a private helicopter company out of Ozark, but this year we're proud to say we're going to be joining with the Friends of Army Aviation to be flying the helicopter on that, so we're excited about that partnership with that. So with that said, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have on that request.
All right, in work session, we already got a affirmative from Parks and Rec. Does anyone have any questions here? All right, I think we're good with it, so good to go.
Thank you, guys.
All right, now we have privilege of the floor. Anyone that'd like to speak for, anyone in attendance tonight who wishes to address the council may do so for 3 minutes. If there is a public hearing on the agenda for the topic you're concerned with, please wait until that public hearing opens to address the council. If they choose, staff, mayor, and council will respond to your comments during the appointed times later in the meeting. Repetitive, disruptive, and disparaging comments will not be tolerated. If you're found out of order, your privileges can and will be revoked. And I already know someone wanting to speak, so come on.
Hi, I'm Amanda Simmons. I'm the Executive Director of the Christian Mission. I wanted to address the council to get approval for our second annual 5K recovery run for June 27th. I've already submitted an application through the rec department, Bates Memorial Stadium, and got approved. I submitted an application to the city beginning of February, but in order for me to start advertising and getting sponsors, I need to come before you guys to get approval. So all funds that will be raised during that fundraiser will go to support our New Life Recovery Program. Last year it was pretty successful, a little bit of hiccups, but we know better this year, so we're excited for this year's event. So.
Okay. I'm sure this will come back on an official agenda for us to make an official, you have something to say? I'm sorry.
It may not, given what's on the agenda for
Okay.
Bates.
Okay.
So it may be something that I think the church, there's some members here from the church, including the pastor here tonight, and I think regardless of if it comes before you and you choose not to vote on that next week or next council meeting, either way, we will, and staff fully supports this event.
Okay.
So,
All right. Does anyone here have any questions about that?
So she's good to go ahead and advertise?
I would say yes.
Thank y'all very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council tonight?
Yes, sir. My name is Kurt Bench. I listened to your IT presentation tonight. Sounds like it's going to be a great system. My point of view, it's going to be a nightmare trying to train some of our citizens who are not computer aware, who have a phone that they only use as a phone, do not have a tablet or a computer. How are we going to still serve those citizens to get bills paid and input? That might be something that y'all want to push pretty hard, because I'd say it's between 10 and 15% of the population here falls under that heading. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we have no old business, and so we'll move into new business. So, I'm sorry, staff reports, and I have it in yellow highlighter right there. Thank you, Councilman Walls, for keeping me on track. And
Well, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. As we have done in the past, we do quarterly updates on our blight elimination program across the city of Enterprise. And tonight, I have the unique privilege of handing it off to our city planner to do this presentation. So as most of y'all have met him, Tim Milstead has been with the city now for a short period of time, roughly about 2 months. And we're real excited to have him. He's done some great stuff for the city. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tim, and he's going to run you through a quick quarterly update about a blight elimination program, and I have some recent updates about some stuff that has happened as recent as today on this program. So, Tim?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Privileged to be able to present this information to you here this evening. I look forward to sharing some good news with you about our blight elimination program and some of the progress that we've been able to make with this program over this quarter that has passed. I wanted to bring up this particular slide first. As we think about the blight elimination program, I wanted to start you off with the residential growth that's taking place within the community. Is Enterprise growing? Absolutely. If you look at this chart here, you see a red line and a purple line. Red line is 2024. Purple line is residential growth in 2025. Both of those were record years. And you can see January and February of 2026, where residential growth is already exceeding the levels of 24 and 25. So we are certainly seeing that growth taking place. But what does that have to do with the blight elimination program? Well, a lot of people have nonetheless invested in areas that have already been developed within the community, and we care about those areas as well and protecting those investments and keeping the city looking as good as we possibly can. As you're aware, the blight elimination program was adopted back in 2024. This is the teeth that we have to be able to act on some of these unsafe or dangerous buildings that we have within the community. We use this. It's the mechanism that we have in place to be able to take buildings through a process to have them removed or remediated. And the intent of the ordinance is to create safer and aesthetically pleasing communities through that remediation and demolition. So how do we ultimately create a safer and aesthetically pleasing community? Well, we have several objectives here. Eliminate blight. You've gone through the process, staff has gone through the process of identifying some of these dangerous or unsafe or unsightly structures within the city. And we've got a long list that we're working through on those. We are ultimately wanting to ensure the structural stability and integrity of all of our subdivisions. We're looking to promote the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. And then finally, through this program, and the final objective is to establish and cultivate healthy relationships with the public. And through this program, through the process that we have in place, we're able to do exactly that. So, where do we stand as of the end of first quarter 2026? I want to draw your attention, first of all, to the size difference between fourth quarter 2025 and first quarter 2026. You see that there's about 60 total units of difference between the two. And basically, what we're trying to identify to you there is to point out how much we are adding in some of the identified dangerous structures to be able to take those structures through the process to have them remediated. But it also shows that some of the existing unsafe structures are continuing to be worked through the process and ultimately completed or remediated. You see in teal there where we started with 22 units in fourth quarter and we're up to 77 units in the city initiative program. That has to do a lot with the structures that are being added in as a part of the city initiative program in phases 3 and 4. But then if you look at the orange pie pieces there, you're looking at 23 units that were remediated as of fourth quarter 2025, but ultimately we're up to 53 units now that have been remediated at the end of this quarter. And that correlates closely with the true green color there related to CDBG that has gone down from 29 units to 4 units. Phases 1 and 2 of CDBG, I'm happy to report to you, are now complete. You received some photos and information on phase 1 of CDBG at your last meeting, at your last update in fourth quarter 2025. And tonight I'm going to run through you CDBG phase 2 and some of the completed projects that we have to show you as a part of this. As I mentioned, the progress related to this phase, it's complete. So, just real quick, I will flip through these slides here. 102 East Adams Street, you can see the structure is no longer there. All of these have been reclaimed to where they're essentially ready for new development on the property itself. 114 North Carroll Street. You can see where it has been reseeded, and a lot of these are going to have an after photo date of a date in February or March. So very, very recent in which those were completed. 204 Pierce Street. You can see the seating already coming up there. 205 Gilmore Street. 206 Boykin Street. And one note that I will bring up to you is as you look at some of these properties, they may not, or they may look fairly presentable in the pictures themselves, but it's important to remind the council that each structure or case has its own issues that may not be readily visible from the right-of-way or the street itself, but nonetheless, they still meet the city's definition of an unsafe structure as defined within the ordinance that I referenced earlier. So 403 Doster Street, 405 Mill Avenue, and 406 North Watson Street, 408 Grimes Street, 519 West Hildreth, 525 Damascus, and then finally 708 West College Street. So just wanted to give you a quick update, give you some visuals of what those properties look like now after CDBG Phase 2 has been completed. So on the other side of CDBG, we have the city's demo initiative. Your updates on these, as far as Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the city's demo initiative, just yesterday we held the pre-construction meetings and we issued notices to proceed for all of the structures to be removed within those two phases. And I can report to you the completion date for that project is projected to be May of this year, just a short period of time away. I hope to be able to update you further on that with your second quarter update. Phase 3, we do have 15 units identified as dilapidated, but one of those has already been demolished, so we're down to 14. Those were approved for demolition in October and December of last year, and the asbestos testing has been completed on those structures. And then we've recently begun Phase 4 of the demo initiative. 42 units have been identified as dilapidated. We have been in communication with many of the property owners already to this point. We've sent out the 20-day letters already to this point back in January, and the list pendants we expect will be sent out before the end of this month. And then the final thing that I want to leave you with, this is a slide that you've seen before. You saw it your last update, 912 Rucker Boulevard. You can see what this property looked like last year. But I'm happy to report to you, this is what it looks like now. We have a new business that has been occupied within the renovated structure, and it's a great example of the success story that this program has in being able to work with some of these property owners on remediation agreements and being able to use these properties and put them to good use to the benefit of the owner and ultimately the benefit of the community itself. That's all I have for you on this particular update. Any questions you have? All right. Thank you very much.
I'm excited to see the progress being made.
I agree.
And I've driven by most of those streets. Well, every one of those properties I've seen, it looks just 1,000% better, so great to see.
So Tim talked about, we had a pre-con and basically notice proceed is 3/16, which I believe was yesterday. So contractors on site today doing demolition, and they showed up on 208 Wilkerson Street. I want to give you an update of what's happened as recent as today. I'll give you a quick timeline. I thought this was kind of important to go back a little bit to find out, like, how did we get here? 208 Wilkerson Street, if you remember, was in Phase 2 of the city's initiative. So I did the checklist, signed off on the checklist in February of 25. We sent out a 20-day letter early March. April, the list pendants was signed and filed. We had a public hearing in this building in June of 2025. We went forward trying to get bids, if you remember, and could not get successful bidders to do the city's demo initiative. And the last public hearing we had to vote to extend the deadline was January 6th of this year. We did get good contractors, and we awarded the demo contract in January of 29 of 26 this year. And as of today, the contractor is on site at 208 Wilkerson Street. I went back and pulled some pictures from the file. This was in with some of the attorney's information, so I believe this was the picture that was put in at the time we did the checklist, either late 24 or early 25, from the best I could tell. There's no date in the photograph, but it was in the packet, I believe, that was given to council. So this is what it was at the time that we moved forward with it. We did show up today. Contractor unloaded his equipment to do this. The cars were removed off the site. However, the property owner has allowed a family member to move into this structure, and we found that there was somebody living inside the structure as of today. The police were called because we have right of entry onto the property. I talked to Ben Goldman, our attorney, on that. He told us that we have the right to tear it down because this body, the city council, voted to move forward with this. I did ask for some photographs, so I did. These photos were taken as of this afternoon. So you can see the front. The cars were removed, but as the roof structure is burnt and was falling in, you can see a picture of the right of the interior. There was some personal information stuff inside the building, trash on the outside. There was some sheets hanging from like blinds on the interior, trash out the back door. There was a car in the back of the lot. And you can see from the inside on the right, the interior hallways on the building were completely burned. There's no electricity, no water to this structure. So the police did escort, allow the people to remove any of the products or their possessions that they had moved into the building, gave them a chance to do that. They had loaded up and they evacuated the building. We did have police go through and make sure everybody was out of the building, and then we authorized the contractor to move forward with demolition per the contract. So he removed, or if he hasn't done it as of 5 o'clock, he should be finishing up now. Any structures on the property were to be taken down to the ground, with exception of the vehicle that was in the backyard. That vehicle was to remain, but any of the structures or debris or trash was to be demolished and taken to the landfill. So I just want to give you a quick update of that. And this is what we have seen on other properties as well, is even though they're not, in my opinion, occupiable, I mean, I'm butchering that word, but we do see people that are inhabiting these structures that is unsafe, and they are coming down. So as you saw per Tim's comment, we're happy to see those numbers continue to go up, and we will continue to add projects to that. So I'll stop for just a moment. I do have a quick update for you on transportation plan, but I want to stop if you have any other further comments or questions for me on demolition or blight.
Anyone have any questions? I guess you just did such a good job.
As you can tell, Tim's excited, the staff's excited. We're glad to see that hopefully we're meeting your expectations on blight. And what council wants to see is getting some of these structures on the ground that are truly dangerous and hazardous to take care of the welfare and safety of the citizens that live here in Enterprise. So staff takes it seriously. We hope we're meeting your goals there. If we're not, please let us know. Part of my first quarter goal for council was to give you an engineering plan update monthly. You got that last month. You'll get another one here next week. So you'll get those monthly. And I plan to give you with that a transportation plan update every month with our engineering plan. I thought it was important because we have so much going on in transportation that I give you just a quick update tonight from the staff reports about what's going on across the city. So I thought I'd add that. If you want to continue this, I'll be glad to do this. So I just did a first quarter update, 2026, for the transportation plan. What I decided to do, and this is in your report that was given to you a few weeks back, try to categorize the different projects by different topics, and that's the way that I'll do this presentation. I'll go through each one of these, tell you a little bit about the program and what we've got in the hopper currently, and I'll try to not drag this out, but give you what I think is what I would be interested to tell you about each one of these projects. The first one, ALDOT administered projects. So there are roads in the city of Enterprise that are owned, maintained by ALDOT, even though they're in the city limits of Enterprise. And we really don't have a say-so into how those projects are done. They do their own design, they do their own maintenance, or their own funding, and then we occupy that space together in the city limits. But there are a few projects I thought were worthy. The State Road 167 widening project, which is right outside. I know all of us are happy as we have come here tonight. The barrels are still there, but at least the roads are complete. So I know they're in the final punch list items and going into warranty, but I want to put that on there as a attaboy. We got that one done together. I think we all lived through that project together. The second project is the Bowieville Circle 4-lane widening project. So there's 3 sections of the bypass, basically from Geneva Highway over to 84 West. There are still 2-lane sections of road. So we started, as y'all know, to do the design work to get those to a 4-lane section around the entire bypass. That project now currently is 30% complete. ALDOT has picked up the consultant work, and they have completed all environmental and all right-of-way work. So that project is moving forward. I gave you, in each one of these topics, I try to give you a description, status, and schedule. Schedule is what we're hearing from ALDOT, is they're anticipating letting that project to 4-lane widening in April of 27. So that sounds like a long way away, but it's only a year, and there's a lot of work to be done to get there. So that's not just getting the plans done, but that's the plans, approval, and moving forward with that project. And that's pending funding, of course. State Road 67, Lee Street. So that is the section of Lee Street that's in front of the Recreation Center. That project was designed by ALDOT and then actually bid. They have a contractor and they're in the pre-construction phase now. We're hearing from them that they will start construction on Lee Street sometime approximately this summer of this year. So that is a project that is completely funded by ALDOT, but it will impact us. And we will know more a little bit about the schedule when they give us that, and I'll be glad to share that with council and get some press releases out for when the public can expect I do anticipate, when we say resurfacing, I anticipate it to be a mill and fill, so they'll go in and mill the street surface down. That's typically what they do, and they add back a new wearing surface and restripe it. So I'll give you a little bit more as more information is available. ALDOT has a program called A-Trip 2. A-Trip 2 is a program that's up to $2 million, and I talked about that a little bit earlier. The 27 is Shellfield Road signal. That was the one that was a roundabout turned into a signal. That one is complete and in the warranty period. But the second one, so we've got $2 million towards true construction for upgrading the signals, controls, and comms and PED buttons for the existing lights between the train trestle and Farmers Market. I know that we've talked a little bit to the Main Street group downtown. They're all excited for that, and I'm excited to get some comms down there. We can put some cameras and stuff up down there to make traveling through the heart of the city maybe a little bit more efficient. Schedule for letting, we're anticipating summer of this 26. If we can make that happen, that will make us eligible to apply for another A-Truck program. Typically, those are due in October of the year. So if we get this done and get it let, then we can apply for another $2 million for some other project that the city desires. So we're pushing pretty hard on the consultant. You do have on your council agenda tonight for the contract with Kimberly Horn to do that work, for the consulting work for that. TAP grant projects, this is typically what we use for sidewalk projects, or some of our sidewalk projects. We're complete with the Daleville Avenue. The one at the bottom, Bellwood, we did get approval today to move forward, so ALDOT has approved the plans and has given us permission to go to bid. So this body, the city council, has given permission for us to go to bid on that project. And talking to Glenn with Polly, we will be moving forward on that. I'm anticipating letting that project in April of this year, and basically next month. They have to advertise it for 21 days before we can take bids on that project. Rebuild Alabama is another program up there that's available to us. Anything up to $250,000 is free with no match money. So we took one of the streets that we were looking at in the Paving Project 6 and applied for funding for that. So we were looking at taking Alberta, and we applied for Alberta to be possibly using that Rebuild Alabama grant. That we've applied application in February. We have not heard yet, but that's in the hopper. Hopefully that money will come through. That'll help us. For information purposes only, ALDOT does have a bridge inspection reporting requirement, and we have 7 bridges that we maintain or monitor through the city. They're actually owned and maintained by ALDOT, but we're required to do reporting on those. So those are the streets that we do there. We do those every 2 years. The last reporting was early '25, so we'll be required February of next year to do that as well. So we'll do an inspection on those bridges, and we hire some of the ALDOT inspectors to do that for us. So they're the certified bridge inspectors. So we utilize their expertise. City paving and resurfacing projects. We're nearing completion on Phase 5. We have two items to finish that project up. The parking lot area at the Recreation Center, that's now gravel, to get that paved. And we got some miscellaneous striping to get finished up and corrected to be finished up on that project. I'm anticipating trying to get that finished up by July of this year, so we can move and close out Phase 5. Phase 6, we're still in design. We're trying to get through the list of streets and working through an alternate list with Glenn, and I anticipate going to bid in that in May of this year. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on the airport development projects, but do let you know that the first phase of the runway extension is ongoing, and we did get a go letter to move forward with the actual extension on the 2-3 end of the runway towards the bypass. So that is in design. We had conversations as early as this week with the FAA and Aeronautics, that's ALDOT, to talk about that project. We talk with them every week. That project's moving forward, and we have roughly about $5.2 million in grant, which is a 97.5% grant that goes towards that project, which is great. I did two sections here I thought might make sense. One, special transportation projects. These are things that didn't fit into any of those other previous categories, but things that we're tracking, things that we're working on, that these are projects that are funded. One's the wayfinding signage project downtown. We're going through the finalizing design and permitting for that project, and it's the council's goal to be complete on that project by the end of this calendar year, 26, and we're tracking to make that happen. The PCI study, you heard a little bit earlier, with the software they're talking about, if we do a PCI study, they can incorporate that into some of the software that's available. We're in the proposal stage on that, and depending on which software the city goes with may determine how I want to do the proposals for PCI study, but as of now, we still can get that complete by the end of this calendar year per your request. The Fort Rucker revitalization plan, that's in staff review, and we're working with KPS, who did our long-range plan, our comp plan, on that, so we're working through that. And the last one there, Industrial Access Grant, that's one that we received over where the OSB plant is by Moats Road and 84, and that project is on hold, but that grant's still in the hands of the city at this time. The last category that I want to throw up there was preliminary and unfunded. So I get a lot of phone calls, hey, will you check on so-and-so, or where's the city on this project? So if we don't have a project, we don't have a project number, we don't have funding, how do we keep up with it? This is a list of what I am tracking currently across the city. So State Road 167 and Salem Road traffic signal. So AlDOT's looking at that, and they have agreed that would be a good place for a signal. So they're doing a preliminary design and completing a construction estimate at this point for us to come back together and possible teaming arrangement between the city and AlDOT to put a signal there at that intersection. I don't have a timeline on that, but I do know that they are getting relatively close to figuring out what the cost of that project would be and what a timeline might be. So when I have that done, I'll bring that back to you for your approval. The second project is just the general congestion of the frontage road. I put near Chick-fil-A, but it goes all the way from McDonald's all the way to Walmart down through that frontage road. And to remind you, it's not just the bypass that's owned by AlDOT, but it's also the frontage road. And all the connectors between the frontage road and the bypass, that belongs to AlDOT, and so do the signals. They belong to AlDOT, and everything, it's an AlDOT project, but it greatly affects our citizens that live here and travel that section of road. So we have gone back and forth coming up with ideas, and they told us as recent as last week that they're about 30 to 45 days, I put 45 days down, from having a 30% design review with the City of Enterprise engineering staff to show us what they're coming up with. So we're, by the end of April, hopefully have some drawings in our hands, some sketches, some cost estimates, something to look at from AlDOT on that. So it's anticipated that we may have a public involvement meeting maybe summer of this year to get the public's input on some ideas for that section of road. So I do want to show you that we have been working that extremely hard and trying to get AlDOT to come up with some solution to that problem. It's a good problem to have. The third project is the left and right turn lanes at Porter Lunsford Road. At this point, we're in discussion with AlDOT, but there is no schedule and nothing I can tell you other than AlDOT is looking at that. There's a good bit of traffic on Porter Lunsford Road coming back out on 27, and we've requested for them to look at putting a right turn and a left turn lane and doing some modifications to that signal to see if we could help move traffic to that intersection a little bit more efficiently. Might be a good A-Truck program for next year if we can get this other Main Street done on time. Heavy trucks downtown, we went to lunch downtown today, and there was a good bit of large truck traffic still traveling down Main Street. And what I'll tell you is AlDOT's position is they cannot restrict truck traffic through downtown because what they call, it's a connecting link between state roads. They cannot leave a gap in between it, and they cannot tell trucks they cannot travel through downtown. The only way that we can get them to stop moving trucks through downtown is basically take all the interior roads inside the circle and the city own and maintain them from this point forward forever and ever. Amen. So that's where that stands right now. There's nothing that we can do at this point unless we're willing to take the roads on. And the last one here is a connecting road between Rucker Boulevard and Porter Lunsford. We're looking at some alignments through there to get some connectivity. That'll help with the fire department for response times as well as moving people to the Rucker gate without having to come back into the circle, doing that, what we talked about through that Chick-fil-A corridor right through there, because if you come in, you have to come all the way around through that bypass and go back out. So we're looking at some possibilities there for making a connecting road through that and have engaged some consultants through there to help us with that process. So I'm sorry for taking so much time, but there is a lot going on as far as transportation, and I wanted to give you at least a snapshot of some of the projects, the majority of the projects that we're actually working in our engineering department now with the state. So those are the quick things, and I'll open it for any questions you may have.
On the SR 27 Porter Lunsford, looking at that with the turn lanes and everything, there's a sidewalk that runs down Dolphin Extension that dead ends right there. Is there a possibility that we can get a crosswalk as well that leads to the Marcos and a crosswalk with a signal light? I live down that way. I see people jogging across and trying to get across that street. So if they're looking at turn lanes, is that something that we can include in that as well?
if they decide to move forward with doing the turn lanes, that's something I would request as well, as we do crosswalks and pedestrian crossings there, to put that back into the timing. At this point, that is not funded, by the
Right.
state. They are looking at it and they're considering it, but that's something I would request that they look at when we look at that signal, if and when they decide to do upgrades to that signal. Sorry.
And then the other question would be with the if we get done with the A-Trip 2 and we're able to qualify for another grant towards the end of the year, could we potentially bundle a number of crossing signals in some of the areas that need it in town as part of that next upgrade?
And so I talked to Mr. Tullis about coming up. One of the things that I thought that we could help with that transportation plan is come up with future projects to get in the queue. And I plan to do that over the next couple of months to give you some ideas that I have that we ought to consider and get some input back from council to what you would like for us to start working as it's important to work on the projects we currently have, but it's even, I guess, more important to be working about what are we doing next? What are we doing next? And what are we queuing up? So having some input from you, I thought I'd get down some ideas that I've heard say, and then we could look to that, and maybe we have that in a work session of some things that you'd like for us to ask and add. And so like for downtown, that was one that AlDOT quickly got on board with. They thought it was a great addition because of some of the problems we were having. So it's not only just a need for us, but it's an improvement on an AlDOT road and an AlDOT either intersection or signal, one of their entities that they own. So we kind of want to work together with them. It's something they want to get funded through the A-Trip program, but something that solves our problem as well. So I think getting those future projects down is a great start for that, and we could have some more discussion here and work session and see, y'all tell me what you would like for us to start pushing. Give me some priorities back from your seats about what you want to see us move forward with. So I'll add that. So we did that in one or two of them, some future projects. I did that on our TAP as one project that we had talked about, but I'll do those future projects for you to consider as well. Give me some feedback on it. I'd be glad to do it.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Thank you for that detailed report.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have any other staff reports?
I didn't take up enough time during the work session, so no. So I just wanted to give hopefully a quick rundown on the customer service aspect. We had guests here earlier during the work session to go over some of the options that are available for us to connect with the city to citizens. And that's in a variety of ways, whether it's getting their business license issued, turning on water here in town, communicating with Public Works about issues that they report or see throughout the city. I did just want to point out that we're hoping to utilize those things because technology is a great thing, and there are so many things out there and available now that we have not been able to utilize before. I think that this is an initial step in broadening our ways to reach citizens and for them to be able to reach us. That is not to say that everything is going to go to all electronic. So, I know we're headed that way, and people are trying to get away from paper and having to do things manually and doing those processes. However, these things that we're looking at are to provide more options, more availability for people, but that's not to say that we're going to take away some of the other options. So we're still available. We're still there at City Hall. We're still available for people to come in and see us in person, to have that contact in person, and to ask questions always, and to still contact us and pay their bills the same way that they always have if they want to do that. I think what we're trying to do, though, is open things up for the people who are either away. We deal with a huge military community here who like to turn on their water or get a business license or do some of those things from outside the state when they're on their way here, or getting things done if you're like me at 11:30 at night when you finally remember that you needed to do something. This will hopefully allow citizens ways to communicate with us and get that business taken care of outside of our normal business hours. But of course, we're always still there in person to handle any questions or anything that our citizens need help with, so. Questions?
All right, any questions?
Good.
Sounds
Awesome.
good.
Great.
Thank you. Hopefully that answers your question earlier, or your comment. All right, new business. We'll introduce ordinance 03-1726, providing for the sale of Bates Memorial Stadium to Hillcrest Baptist Church for the right of continued use of the stadium by the City and Enterprise Board of Education at no cost for city-sponsored, school-related, and community events for a period of no less than 8 years, and further authorize the mayor to execute the deed for said property. Tonight, the plan is just to introduce this for vote, I guess, at the next council meeting.
Mayor and council members, I know we have some people in attendance from Hillcrest Baptist, and it's not a public hearing, but, they may want to come if you take this up at the next council meeting. But if you'd like to afford maybe a pastor from the church
Sure.
an opportunity to just communicate with the council. He's here tonight. I didn't ask him if he was willing to do it, but I figured a good preacher would never pass up an opportunity for a microphone.
If you want to open your Bibles to Genesis, we'll be along directly. No. Again, thank you, council, just for a moment tonight. Our church, of course, has been approached and very open to the opportunity to what's been offered at this point, just in the details. But we had a meeting, a special called business meeting as a church, and we believe in what has taken place all throughout the history of this city with the good relationship between churches and city, and we look forward to an opportunity to even be more engaged in the city with the position of being able to take over that through this agreement that's been put forth. And our church met in our official business session, just like everybody has bylaws they have to run by. And we had probably about a 30-minute discussion, and then wholeheartedly 100% agreed to the terms we had seen, and now just waiting on what the council and the city approves. And but look forward to just the continued relationship Hillcrest has had over the years together since '57, when Hillcrest was incorporated, and just been an active part of this city. So I know I don't have to answer questions tonight. Amen. So that's a good thing. But anyway, just appreciate your all's consideration. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, so then we will introduce for the record a recommendation for the Enterprise Planning Commission to approve the following request for the rezoning of property. A request by PLS Group Incorporated on behalf of Danny Gay to rezone .26 acres from R3 High-Density Single-Family Residential District to R4 Mixed Residential District located at 218 East Hildreth Avenue. Introduce ordinance 03-1726A, providing for the rezoning of .26 acres of land owned by Danny Gay from R3 High-Density Single-Family Residential District to R4 Mixed Residential District located at 218 East Hildreth Avenue. A call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for April 21st, 2026. And then we'll move forward tonight and call for a public hearing as advertised prior to consideration of Resolution 03-1726 regarding consideration and approval of certain economic development incentives to be granted by the city to BDH Enterprise LLC. The public benefits sought to be achieved by such incentives are the economic growth, anticipated increase in new employment, tax revenues, and other benefits which directly benefit the city and serve a valid and sufficient public purpose. This hearing is now open. Do we have someone from the city that wants to introduce this? Mr. Tullis, did you want to introduce this?
So the 772 agreement, I know we've discussed it in prior council meetings in executive session. This is the former Rite Aid property. there on the corner of Rucker Boulevard and Boll Weevil Circle. As you heard in the work session, about 2.5 acres. The big part of this and why this will be, I think, a good use of the 772 is the developer has agreed to conform within our Rucker Boulevard plans to do some enhancements, both aesthetically and physically, to enable sidewalks to be part of the project there. Obviously, to change pedestrian modes of transportation along Rucker Boulevard, the city has to start somewhere, whether it's at one end or another. And so I think this will be a good tie-in, a good anchor point to do that. It fits within the comprehensive plan for the city as one of the 3 areas of the city that you have designated as a council to invest in and see redevelopment or future investment in, those being Rucker Boulevard, the Southern Bypass, and the downtown areas. The developer is here tonight. If you'd like to call on him, Mr. Abernathy, I think you spoke to him in the work session. But if you do have any other questions about that, he's here.
If you'd like to present it during this public hearing, that'd be great.
John Abernathy with Blackwater Real Estate out of Birmingham, and here representing our entity, which is BDH Enterprise. So we're the current owner of this property, and as John said, it's currently vacant today. There was a Family Dollar that closed, and we're working on a redevelopment plan, and part of it is to do the improvements that you have proposed there for your Rucker Boulevard plan, so that we've integrated that into what we're doing in our planning. That's over and above today, maybe what you would have in your ordinance, but we've taken the draft that you have and the plans, and we've gone through them, and whether it be landscaping or sidewalks, we're incorporating all those things into our concept plans, and we just appreciate your consideration of this agreement that would help us be able to demolish the current building and redevelop the property.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there any members of the public that would like to speak on behalf or against this project?
My name is Kurt Bench again. As a taxpayer in the city, I always find it a little nervous-making when I hear providing for the authorization to grant public funds and things of value. How much public funds are we talking about? Dollars.
So I'll let Mr. Tullis speak to that from the city standpoint.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you.
So in the parameters of what the council has charged the mayor and his staff with developing and working with developers, Constitutional Amendment 772 gives broad authority to municipalities, counties, to give things of value to developers. To answer his question, some communities use that extremely broadly. Within the parameters of this development agreement, and what the council has asked is that all agreements go through the lens of being performance-based. So in other words, this project, if it produces tax revenue, the developer in this particular case will get 50% of the tax revenue for an allocated period of time, up to a certain dollar figure, whichever comes first. So the city sales tax portion is 4 cents. So this would roughly be 2 cents for every dollar sold in there. So if the developer doesn't do the project, he gets no funding. If he does the project and it's successful and they sell a lot of stuff, they get a portion of that for a period of time. Does that? Well, I'll go back and talk to the individual that came up here afterwards.
So basically, to clear it up, there's no front money going out. It's on the tax. It's performance based. So we're not gifting them dollars out of the
That's correct.
treasury. Okay.
The developer's project has to stand on its own merit, and if it's successful, they will get a portion of that to help pay for some of the things that they've agreed to do, like sidewalks, landscaping, demolition, that are in the city's best interest as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf or against this project? right, this portion of the hearing is now closed. Council, do you have any questions, any comments? Okay. All right, city have anything else to All right, this hearing is now closed, and I call for consideration of Resolution 03-1726, providing for the authorization to grant public funds and things of value to BDH Enterprise LLC to pay for a portion of the cost of acquiring, developing, and constructing, equipping, and operating a commercial development on the corner of Bullweevil Circle and Rooker Boulevard.
I move to adopt Resolution 03-1726.
Second.
All right, do we have any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, now we have a request to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement and closing documents for the purchase of the former Cuts Restaurant property located on East Lee Street, with the city paying $390,000 plus closing costs, environmental report costs, and a portion of the survey cost. Mr. Tullis?
Yes, sir. I was asked by the council during the work session to come up and address this on public record. So somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks ago, the mayor's office was called by Mr. Rick Cuts, who owns the property that is before you to purchase. Used to be Cuts Restaurant. It's 4 parcels of property. Mr. Cuts had asked if the city would be interested in purchasing the property. He was going to, close down Cuts Restaurant at that time, whether it was 6 weeks in the future or 6 months, he wasn't really sure, but the sooner the better for him. And if the city wasn't interested in it, then he was still going to close down the restaurant, but put it on the market for sale. Given our agreement when Cuts worked with us to redevelop their parking lot during the rec center construction, he felt it was in the city's best interest to see if they at least wanted to purchase it. Subsequently, about a week later, we had a council meeting. I brought that in executive session to the council to find out if we had an appetite to do that. I think one of the first questions asked was, well, what does he want for the property? Well, he wanted whatever the appraised value was. And so I didn't know what that was, so we ordered an appraisal on the property. That came back to $390,000 and whatever approximate cents, if there are any. But what you see on the council agenda tonight was what Bubba Briers had it appraised at. Given that, brought it back to the council with the appraised value, checked with our CFO to make sure that we had money that we could afford to spend on the property, and that's how we got to tonight. I know that there have been some rumors, whether widely circulated or not, I don't know, but we did not approach the property owner. He approached us. And his decision to close the restaurant, I know personally, and many of you that are looking back at me are going to miss that restaurant, spend a lot of time, and probably the only thing that's not going to miss it's my waistline. But it was a staple in our community, and sad to see it go.
Any questions? Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Move to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement and closing documents for the purchase of the former Cuts Restaurant property on East Lee Street.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just, I'm sure the decision for Mr. Cuts to close was not easy. I think I did mention to Mr. Tullis after we came out of executive session, when this was going to come to the council about possibly some statement of sort from the owner, which is not necessarily required for us to make a decision, but I'm just happy that Mr. Tullis did explain how this happened. We did not coerce. We had nothing to do. We were just as shocked as anybody else to find out that he was closing. So just wanted that to be on record that, I mentioned to Mr. Tullis about him possibly coming. He probably didn't want to, and that's fine. But like I said, it was not an easy decision for him, I'm sure. So this is not like our nuisance properties or our hearings that we have addressing rezones or anything like that. It's just an opportunity to purchase a property that would otherwise have been offered to somebody else or not, or could have sat for the longest without a buyer. So it really just ties into the relationship that I think we've had with Cuts, especially over the past couple of years with our rec center. And it's unfortunate that the business had to close, but that's all I want to say about that as far as going forward.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates for preliminary engineering services for the A-Trip 2 traffic signal upgrades project and analyzing additional traffic signals within the city in an amount not to exceed $152,000.
I move to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Kimberly Horn and Associates Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $152,000.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Enterprise and Alabama Department of Rehabilitation Services for the provision of a portion of office facilities located at the Enterprise Civic Center, subject to the terms of the agreement.
Move to authorize the mayor to execute the memorandum of understanding with the Alabama Department of Rehabilitation Services as submitted.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Introduce and call for consideration of a request from City Engineer, Public Works Director Barry Mott to purchase 2 transferred trailers from KNL Holdings, Steco Incorporated, in the total amount of $200,472. The equipment is a budgeted item in the FY 2026 sanitation budget. Do I have a motion?
Move to authorize the purchase request as submitted.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor, do you have a report for us?
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight's meeting is a great example of the momentum we are seeking across our community. We had the opportunity to recognize members of our community, including our county queens who serve as ambassadors for Enterprise and represent the pride and spirit of our city. We also discussed upcoming community events that continue to bring people together and support local businesses. In addition, the council has taken action on important items related to economic development and improving infrastructure through traffic signals upgrading. These are the kinds of efforts that make a real difference in the daily lives of our residents. All of this points to a larger story. Enterprise is growing, and it is growing the right way. We are making strategic investments to support where we are today and where we are going tomorrow. These efforts are not just about keeping up with growth, they are about staying ahead of it. Looking ahead, I'm confident that what we are seeing today is just the beginning. We will continue to invest wisely, support responsibility, development, and ensure that Enterprise remain a place people are proud to call home. The best days for Enterprise are still ahead. I want to thank our city employees for the work that they do each day to keep our community moving forward. I want to thank the members of this council for their continued leadership and commitment to the people of Enterprise. I also want to remind everyone about the Oscar Club's Day of Service taking place this Saturday. The kickoff will be 8 a.m. at Bates Stadium. This is a great opportunity for our entire community to come together and give back through a variety of service projects. I hope to see many of you out there. As I've said many times, may God bless Enterprise and may God bless America. Thank you.
Ms. Rich?
I want to thank our engineering department for such a thorough report on our blight elimination program. As I stated earlier, I've driven and seen those properties no longer there, and it's small steps, but on the way to much improvement. Recognizing that we are in the early stages of our customer service, I guess, experience or whatnot, to Mr. Bench's concern about some of our citizens preferring or maybe not being as savvy as others. One of the things I did mention to our staff was that as we are continuing to work through that, it will not be perceived, because I certainly would not, that's not what we're doing, to force any citizen to have to adapt to some digital method of paying their bill. I hope my mother never gets her hands on the information, quite personally, because I would have to walk her through that, and I prefer her just do it however she's been doing it. You want to walk your bill in, walk it in. If you want to talk to people, you certainly should be able to do that at any city hall, and we don't want to take that away from our citizens. This is just a way that we can make things flow a little better for those that want to have the experience, but not shoving it in somebody's throat that does not want to have the experience. If you want to continue to write your check and come on in and pay it, I would hope that this will still be, I'm sure it will still be an option for you. So thank everyone for being so patient, hanging in with us tonight, and we'll see you next time.
I'd like to second what Sonia just said about the path forward in technology. Mr. Bench, I appreciate your commentary. I want to assure you, you know my father, you probably speak with him a couple times a week, so there's 0% chance he's utilizing that. It just is what it is. And we're not going to leave everybody out in the dark. You know, this is maybe a 75-25 kind of issue. If we can get 75% of those to utilize the new technology and the emerging path forward, that cuts down on the amount of calls and the amount of foot traffic that the staff has to deal with on a daily basis, and thus they have more time to serve you, those who like to do it the way I've always done it. So, but I do appreciate that commentary. Thanks to all the city workers, the staff, great reports tonight, a lot of detailed information there. So we look forward to the egg drop and some of the other events coming forward, and glad to have the Queens here from Coffee County. So everyone have a good, safe evening.
Mr. Walls?
Thank you, Tim and Barry, for the awesome report on the blighted properties and the work that your team you're working and doing there. And Barry, awesome work getting everybody caught up on the programs that are going on, the things that we're doing, the money that we're taking, not taking, but are given from the state. You know, we send that money up through our tax dollars, and we buy things, and we're just asking for a little of it back so we can improve enterprise. So I'm appreciative to all of those that help make that possible. And thank you, Barry, for working hard to make sure that those things happen. Same thing for Mr. Bench. I work in IT. I'm an IT person. I believe in technology. I believe it's one of the world's greatest tools that we have. At the same time, there's some times that I like to look somebody in the face. I like to shake their hand. I've been in the City Hall. I've done work in City Hall, and so that's how business still gets done for some people. So it's not to remove that option, but instead it's to empower the people that want to use technology or have to. A developer that's out of the area, that's wanting to get a business license here or get a permit here. And hopefully what we see is when people do go into City Hall, the lines are a little shorter, the staff's a little friendlier, and then, you know, it's just a better situation for everybody. But my mother-in-law lives in Enterprise. She's 80-something years old, and she's not a native English speaker, so she's definitely not, I think she's got a flip phone or had a flip phone until a little bit ago. So definitely not going to make where she has to use an iPhone or an Android phone. So not taking things away, just enhancing things for other people to give them an option to use the digital path. So thank you for bringing that and keeping that in our forefront. Definitely not taking anything away. Thank you, guys.
Well, I think most of everything has been said several times, and so I do have a lot of the same appreciations. Thank you for all the hard work city staff does. And as was just mentioned, some of this money coming down from the state, I'm very thankful for those that are paying attention to those available opportunities and applying for it. Otherwise, we just get skipped out on so much. And I feel very fortunate that we have city staff that's paying attention and applying for everything that we possibly can find to apply for, because it definitely helps the ability to make the dollars go further. And thanks for all the hard work that engineering department doing with the blighted property as well. That is so wonderful to see some of these very bad areas starting to be fixed and come down, and hopefully we'll see some developers start putting some nice properties back in their place and helping us to enhance these areas. And Mr. Bench, I think we've all mentioned you from the podium here tonight, but that was one of the things that I was in a meeting earlier today before this council, and that's one of the things we did discuss, is making sure that citizens had an opportunity to be able to continue to interact with the city without having to be forced to go through this system. So that has been preempted before we even get started with it. So for me personally, I need to be able to renew my business license at 2 o'clock in the morning if I need to. So all right. Thank you so much for coming, and everybody wave at Scotty on the camera. He's watching us. And so he's enjoying Savannah tonight while we are here. And so next time you see him, just ask him all about it. I'm sure he'll tell you. So you all have a good night, and we will adjourn to an executive session. Call for a motion to enter into executive session to discuss legal advice and counsel.
I call for a motion to enter into an executive session for the purpose of legal advice and counsel. Attorney Marshall has certified that the reason for the executive session meets the criteria. Executive session is expected to last roughly 20 minutes. The council will not reconvene to conduct business after the executive session.
All right. So we will, do you have a second on that motion?
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll enter to executive session. As been said, we will not come back to conduct business. We will just come back to adjourn. Thank you.